Yeah! They got the video out tonight.
Let's go!
The video is out tonight.
Hey, every time.
That really means tea time. I'm going. I know you're going.
The silence was never random. It was deliberate, and that's what made it feel uneasy. When Claressa Shields finally spoke about her personal life, it did not come with smiles, coded captions, or a carefully staged photo meant to calm rumors. It came with a pause, a heavy one, the kind that suggests something broke before it ever had a chance to heal. For years, Claressa carried herself like nothing could touch her. Untouchable energy, a fighter who never folds, someone who turns pressure into strength without hesitation. But this moment did not come from the ring or a rival. It came from the heart, and it landed quietly with weight. After her alleged split from Papoose, people expected denial, frustration, or a sharp response meant to shut the conversation down. Instead, she did something unexpected. She confirmed she was in a new relationship. No name attached, no face shown, no background given. Just one line saying she was happy and in a good place. That single statement froze the internet because happiness rarely sounds that controlled, and peace usually does not move wrapped in secrecy. Almost immediately, whispers turned into speculation. Screenshots started circulating, threads multiplied, new sources appeared out of nowhere. Some claimed the man was wealthy, powerful, and completely outside the spotlight. Someone who did not need attention and had no interest in it. Others warned she moved on too quickly, saying emotional wounds do not close overnight, and silence often hides unfinished pain. Through all of it, Claressa remained still. She did not deny the rumors. She did not confirm them either. She simply asked for privacy. That request alone spoke loudly, because when someone who has never backed down from public pressure suddenly asks for distance, something shifted, something hurt, and something remained unresolved behind the scenes. As days passed, the mystery grew heavier. No proof surfaced, no confirmation followed, just a name that never appeared and a story that refused to fade. Claressa Shields has survived losses, pressure, and public scrutiny, but this time she was not swinging back. She was guarding something personal, and the most dangerous stories are often the unfinished ones. What followed was never meant to unfold quietly. For years, Claressa lived in full public view. Every win broadcasted, every loss dissected, every emotion slowed down and examined. She built her image on being unbreakable, someone who takes hits for a living and never asks for sympathy. This time, the impact did not come from an opponent. It came from her own words. No announcement rollout, no polished photo, no post designed for engagement, just a confirmation that landed heavy. She said she was in a new relationship, and the way she said it changed how people received it. There was no excitement in her tone, no celebratory energy, no visible glow of something new. Her voice sounded measured, careful, almost guarded. Fans quickly picked up on it. This was not joy being shared. It was a boundary being drawn. Then she made a choice that spoke even louder than the confirmation. She refused to identify him. No name, no hint, no trail to follow. In a culture where public relationships are often used for attention, her silence felt deliberate and defensive. That was when speculation escalated. Questions poured in. Who was he? Why the secrecy? Why now? The theories came fast. Some said he was wealthy and influential, someone whose power existed without public exposure. Others believed the silence was not about privacy at all, but protection. Protection from who or from what became the question. The timing stood out. The alleged split from Papoose still felt recent. The emotional distance between then and now seemed short. Fans replayed moments that once looked solid. And now Claressa appeared emotionally relocated, guarded, and closed off with precision. Some called it overdue. Others called it rushed. Beneath the arguments, something quieter stood out. People noticed the restraint. Not obvious sadness, but the disciplined kind that stays hidden. Her smile did not linger. Her eyes did not brighten. She did not look like someone starting over. She looked like someone who had endured something. And people who endure do not move loudly, they move carefully. That is when whispers sharpened. Was this relationship a safe place or a reaction? As screenshots continued to circulate and threads expanded, unnamed sources began filling in gaps. None of it could be verified. Claims of extreme wealth, claims of strict privacy, claims that Claressa was choosing peace over chaos. Still, the name never surfaced. The silence remained, and the story refused to disappear. Every theory clashed with the next, but they all chased the same idea. People wanted to know what cracked her because fighters do not pull back unless something shifts the rules. Something changes the ground beneath them. Then Claressa finally responded to the noise, not with anger, not with defense, but with emotion. She asked for kindness. She asked for privacy. She asked people to stop guessing. Her words were not sharp or confrontational. They sounded worn down. The kind of tired that comes from holding everything together without letting it show. That was the moment the tone changed. This stopped feeling like gossip. This became a woman asking the world to step back, and the world rarely listens. The more Claressa withdrew, the louder the speculation grew. People started asking why she was protecting him so fiercely. Why hide happiness if it was real? Why confirm anything at all if secrecy was the goal? Each question stacked onto the next, creating a story she never approved but could not escape. Because once a mystery is confirmed, control slips away. Observers compared this moment to her past public relationships, pointing out how different this felt. Before, she stood tall beside love. Now she stood alone beside silence. Silence in celebrity culture is almost never read as peace. It is read as damage control. That's when the theories really took off. Some claim the man's wealth explained everything. Old money, private circles, tight rules about exposure. Others argued the opposite, saying Claressa wasn't protecting him at all. She was protecting herself. The idea spread fast. A woman who once loved out loud and paid for it in public. A woman who learned the cost of visibility the hard way.
Claressa, you're one of the most beautiful queens I've met in my life. Here's a like in real life. It's a like in real life. What's your sign? Pisces, we're the same sign. I'm gonna walk away because I don't want to get beat up or, you know what I'm saying, a book thrown at me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no problems, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna walk up this way, you know what I'm saying?
Then came the most uncomfortable question. What if happiness wasn't the real story? What if survival was? Because the strongest people don't announce healing. They move quietly while everyone else keeps talking. Claressa's silence didn't look like romance, it looked like armor. Fans split into sides. One group defended her right to disappear. The other felt entitled to answers. Comment sections turned into courtrooms. Judgment without proof, verdicts without facts. Everyone speaking, no one listening. She stopped explaining herself, and that only made the mystery deeper. The story began existing in fragments. A confirmation with no details. A smile with no warmth. A relationship with no face. Each piece incomplete, but together unsettling. Something was clearly being guarded. Something important enough to risk backlash. Something she decided was not up for public use. The question stopped being who the man was. It became why the world wasn't allowed to see him, and why, for the first time in her career, Claressa Shields looked like she was fighting a battle she didn't want an audience for. By the time the confirmation settled in, the damage was already done. Silence never calms a crowd, it provokes one. Claressa chose not to explain herself. The narrative didn't get stolen. It was handed over, given directly to an audience trained to read between lines that were never written. And what they read wasn't romance. It was risk. The internet didn't speculate. It interrogated. Timelines were rebuilt. Old interviews replayed. Facial expressions slowed down and studied like evidence. People stopped asking if she was happy. They started asking what she escaped, because happiness doesn't usually arrive guarded and privacy doesn't usually feel this urgent. Then came waves of alleged information with no clear source, yet treated like fact. Claims the man wasn't just wealthy, but insulated. Claims he demanded zero exposure. Claims this wasn't Claressa hiding love, but hiding herself inside it. The tone shifted again, from curiosity to concern. From gossip to warnings. Voices questioned whether the relationship was truly new or just newly revealed, whether timelines overlapped, whether the secrecy was about respect or regret. Nothing confirmed. Everything repeated. And repetition is how rumors harden into belief. The most unsettling part wasn't what people said. It was what Claressa didn't correct. She didn't clarify timelines. She didn't deny overlap. She didn't shut down the wealth talk, she went quiet. Quiet in public life is never neutral. Fans began noticing patterns, small details, the way she spoke differently, the absence of warmth where fire used to live, the way she described happiness like something fragile instead of victorious. Fighters don't talk like that unless something shifts inside. Old footage resurfaced. Moments that once felt playful now looked heavy. Smiles that once felt natural now seemed forced. The past got reread through the present, and the result was uncomfortable. The story stopped looking like a clean break. It looked like accumulation. Pain stacked on pressure. Pressure stacked on expectation. Expectation stacked on a woman who's never been allowed to rest without being questioned. At the center of everything sat one missing detail: the man himself. No photos, no leaks, no accidental sightings. In a culture that exposes everything, that level of invisibility felt intentional. Some said he had the resources to stay hidden. Others believed Claressa was enforcing the silence herself. Either way, the outcome felt the same. The relationship didn't read like romance. It read like shelter. And shelters are built after damage. Comment sections turned ruthless. One side said she owed nothing. The other said transparency was the price of fame. But the real conflict was never about the relationship. It was about control. Who owns the story of a public woman when she stops performing it? Claressa Shields made her answer clear: no one. But clarity has never stopped chaos. As days passed, new angles surfaced. Some suggested her request for privacy wasn't about romance at all, but healing. That she wasn't protecting a man, she was protecting herself. Protecting herself from repeating cycles, from turning love into content, from turning pain into entertainment. That interpretation existed, but it didn't trend. The darker ones always moved faster. Speculation slid into accusation without ever saying it directly. Headlines leaned into implication. Influencers framed opinions as facts. The story stopped being about what was said and became obsessed with what was withheld. Through all of it, Claressa stayed measured. No breakdown, no defensive speeches, no attempt to wrestle control back, just distance. And distance made the public lean in harder. Observers compared her move to women before her, women who chose secrecy after exposure burned them, women who learned the cost of letting the world get too close. The pattern was familiar and unfair. When women withdraw, they're labeled suspicious. When they protect peace, they're accused of hiding damage. Claressa stopped being treated like a person. She became a case study. The tragedy wasn't that she confirmed a relationship. The tragedy was that confirmation wasn't enough. Because the audience didn't want truth, they wanted access. And access is something she no longer seems willing to give. The narrative now sits in a risky space, suspended between rumor and restraint. Every day without confirmation sharpens curiosity. Every quiet moment feeds another theory. Every attempt to move forward pulls her name right back into the cycle. The man stays unseen. The relationship stays undefined. The tension stays unresolved. Claressa Shields, the fighter who built her name by facing opponents head-on, is choosing the one move nobody expected: refusal. Refusal to explain, refusal to perform happiness, refusal to let love get interrogated like a crime. But refusal comes with consequences. The internet does not reward boundaries, it punishes them. The more she protects this chapter, the more aggressive the curiosity becomes. The story is no longer about who she is with, it is about what changed her. And until that answer appears, or never appears at all, the mystery will not fade, it will deepen. Because the most viral stories are not powered by answers, they are powered by silence. The narrative entered its most dangerous phase, when curiosity hardened into judgment. Claressa Shields was no longer viewed as a boxer confirming a relationship. She became a timeline, a case file, a public record. Every pause in her voice was analyzed, every word weighed, every refusal to expand treated like evidence being withheld. In the court of public opinion, withholding gets framed as guilt. The questions did not get louder, they got sharper. Why confirm anything if secrecy was the goal? Why look relieved and worn down at the same time? Some started arguing this was not a soft reveal of love, but a controlled signal of survival. A way of saying she was still standing without inviting the world into the wreckage. Something had clearly shifted. The Claressa people once knew ran straight into storms. This version moved like someone who learned where storms do the most damage. She spoke about happiness like it was fragile, borrowed, something that needed protection before it vanished. That tone unsettled people more than any rumor ever could. Then the framing shifted again. Commentators stopped asking who the man was. They started asking what kind of man required this much distance. Was he powerful enough to disappear? Or was Claressa powerful enough to finally say no to exposure? Two different narratives, both uncomfortable for a culture addicted to access. Speculation crossed a line when timelines became weapons. Old appearances stitched together, quotes pulled out of context, emotions rewritten after the fact. The past stopped being the past. It became evidence. People spoke with confidence about moments they never lived, and confidence without facts turns into cruelty. What made this chapter darker was not the gossip itself, it was the entitlement behind it. The belief that a woman who bled publicly owes the public her healing, that silence equals manipulation, that privacy must mean guilt, but restraint can also mean exhaustion. Those closest to the situation stayed quiet. No confirmations, no denials, no leaks. That silence created a vacuum where facts should have lived. Vacuums do not stay empty. They fill with the loudest assumptions. Some framed the relationship as escape. Others framed it as recklessness. Both ignored the possibility that it was neither. That maybe this was not about running towards someone new, but running away from becoming public property again. The tragedy here is subtle. Claressa did not ask for sympathy. She did not ask for validation. She did not ask to be understood. She asked to be left alone. That request got treated like provocation. The more she pulled back, the more invasive the commentary became. Influencers broke down her demeanor like surveillance footage. Headlines leaned into implication without crossing legal lines. Words like allegedly and sources say became shields for speculation. At this stage, the story stopped being about truth. It became about appetite. The audience wanted a face, a reveal, a downfall, or a fairy tale. Anything except ambiguity. But ambiguity is exactly what Claressa offered. Ambiguity scares people who rely on certainty to feel in control. Every public figure reaches a moment when they realize the crowd is not cheering for them. It is cheering for the story projected onto them. That realization changes how you move, how you speak, how much of yourself you are willing to give away. Claressa appears to have reached that point. Instead of feeding the machine, she starved it. And starving machines makes them hostile. The narrative now floats in limbo, not confirmed enough to end, not explosive enough to burn out, just unresolved enough to follow her into every interview, every win, every moment meant to be private. And that may be the cruelest part. Even if the relationship is healthy, even if the man is kind, even if the happiness is real, it may never be allowed to exist quietly. Because once the world decides you owe them a chapter, they do not accept footnotes. Claressa Shields spent her life fighting to be seen for strength. Now she is examined for restraint. And in a culture built on exposure, restraint reads like rebellion. This is no longer about a boyfriend. It is about boundaries. About a woman refusing to bleed on command. The mystery may never resolve. The man may never be revealed. The truth may stay exactly where Claressa placed it, out of reach. And that unresolved tension is why the story refuses to die. Not because of scandal, but because the audience was never meant to finish it. The final truth is simple. Claressa Shields did not lose control of her story. She took it back, and the world could not handle it. What looks like secrecy on the outside feels like survival on the inside. This was not a soft romance reveal. It was a line drawn after learning how fast love gets weaponized when cameras are watching. The silence was not weakness, it was defiance. And defiance always comes with a price. Somewhere along the way, admiration turned into entitlement. Support turned into surveillance. People did not want her happiness. They wanted access to it. Names, faces, timelines, explanations. When they did not get them, curiosity turned into suspicion. Suspicion turned into judgment. That is where betrayal lives. Not in a man, not in a relationship, but in the way the public consumes pain and demands more. Claressa Shields gave the world victories, scars, honesty, and resilience. The one thing she refused to give was unlimited access to her heart. For that, she was judged without evidence and sentenced without facts. There is no reveal coming, no photo, no closure. Because closure is not owed to spectators. What remains is a woman choosing peace over performance, distance over destruction, and privacy over praise. The real question is not who she is with. It is why the world feels entitled to tear apart anything she chooses to protect. This story does not end with answers, it ends with boundaries. And boundaries are dangerous in a culture addicted to exposure.